Hello and welcome to this special edition of League of Champions. Pakistan are the champions of the 2017 ICC Champions Trophy. But today, on this show, we aren't looking at teams, but we're going to play Super Selector. Or, if I rephrase, Chris Harris is going to play Selector and pick his team of the tournament. Chris Harris, you ready for this task? This could be a bit contentious, could face some brickbats.
Yeah, being a selector is always difficult and there's always going to be some contention, but I'm really looking forward to picking this side. There were some brilliant performances. Now, I just want everyone to know that I'm not picking it on reputation or what we think people are capable of or what they've done in the past. This team is purely picked on what happened in this tournament and the results and the statistics from this tournament.
Before we get into picking the team, we should also look back at the tournament. It's been a very strange tournament in that sense. You know, rain playing a lot of, spoiling a lot of games as well. We have to take that into account, or else you would look at teams without the likes of a South African player or perhaps no Australian.
Yeah, we have to take that into consideration. Unfortunately, for a side like Australia, affected by rain on 2 of their 3 matches. So that's just unfortunate, but you've just got to take the numbers. So it has been a strange tournament. For me, it's been a tournament of huge upsets, of underdogs coming through and beating the side that was looking like they were going to win, or the favourites going into the match. And as I said, rain has intervened on a couple of occasions as well. So it's been a really interesting tournament and a very surprise result at the end for me.
Absolutely. Pakistan winning. Who would have expected that? But Chris, just very quickly, what is the depth you're looking at? What is the kind of balance you're looking at? As you said, we're not going to pick names on the basis of reputations, but what they performed in this tournament.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it's difficult. You've got to base it on statistics, but generally you're looking at picking your top 5 batters, a couple of all-rounders, a spinner, and then probably 3 seamers, something along those lines.
Okay, so let's begin this onerous task with Chris Harris playing Super Selector. We, the editorial team at WION, have gone through the tournament numbers and we've zeroed in on contenders for every position, and we'll bring them up on our screens and then Chris has to sift through them and pick the players. Let's start with the openers then, and the 5 names we're going to bring up on our screens are Shikhar Dhawan, Fakhar Zaman, Azhar Ali, Tamim Iqbal and Rohit Sharma. This one's going to be pretty tough because we've got to pick 2 of these. Now, if you look at the number of runs scored, you would go with Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma. So, Chris, let's start.
Yeah, like you said, there's some good argument just to put the 2 Indian openers in. But there's a couple of reasons. Shikhar Dhawan, for me, probably has to make it just on the way to runs. He was the biggest run scorer in the tournament, so it's going to be very hard to leave him out. Rohit Sharma. We're going to
look at his numbers. But the thing with Shikhar Dhawan also was that he got 100 as well, 250s. He was India's best player by far, but he also had very impactful innings in that sense.
Oh, exactly. He averaged 67.6, which is impressive in itself. But what's even more impressive for Shikhar Dhawan, not knowing necessarily for his strike rate, in this tournament, he struck it over 100, 101.80. He scored 250s and 100. So on at least 3 of the 5 occasions, he had a massive impact for India winning those games.
Let's look at the next one, which is going to come on our screens, and this is his opening partner Rohit Sharma, a big 100 in that semi-final as well. And this is going to be close because if you've already picked Shikhar Dhawan, then you've got to pick one of the remaining 3 or 4 we've got left.
Well, I haven't actually already picked him, but I think it's going to be very hard not to. But with Rohit Sharma, again, averages 76, 100 and 250s, very much like Shikhar Dhawan. The only downside, and it's not really a downside because it was still an impressive strike rate at 86.85, but that possibly may mean he misses out. But I guess
will it affect your judgment that he didn't get runs in the final?
What may affect my decision with Rohit Sharma is in the 5 innings, he had a couple of failures. And that could be important because there perhaps may be others that didn't have any failures. Okay. I guess time will tell.
Okay, let's see the next one. This is Fakhar Zaman, Pakistan's man of the final. He in fact turned Pakistan around, didn't he, Chris? Because at the first match he wasn't there. When he came back, just lifted Pakistan and took them all through to the trophy.
Yep, you've got to take that into consideration as well. For me, at the start of the tournament, Pakistan were pretty poor. And when they brought this man in, Fakhar Zaman, he made the difference for me. He played 4 games, scored 252, average obviously impressive at 63, but even more impressive at the top of the innings, an amazing strike rate, 113, and I think he was the key reason for Pakistan turning around their performance.
The next one is another Pakistani. This is Azhar Ali, very solid for Pakistan, was the early aggressor in a sense in that final as well. Strong claims for him as well?
Yeah, Mr. Consistent, 350s throughout the tournament, so had a big impact in a number of the Pakistan games. Also a big reason for the turnaround because very, very consistent at the top of the order. good average of 45, although it's sort of 20 below the other contenders. And also the only other downside for Azhar Ali, even though he was very consistent, was a strike rate 74, which normally is fine, but in this tournament was a little bit on the low side.
Okay, the final contender on our screen is Tamim Iqbal from Bangladesh. Absolutely brilliant tournament for him. Average of 73 as well. Got runs just about 10-15 runs behind Rohit Sharma, even though Rohit played a game more.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to leave him out. Only the 4 matches and almost scored 300 runs. So who knows, if he played one more match, he may have been the leading run scorer. Very, very good average of 73. Strike rate's okay, 86, a little bit lower than the others. But what was even more impressive, 100 and 250s in just 4 matches, which meant basically only 1 failure.
Okay, so that meant 1 failure. Now you've got to pick 2 of these openers and time to play Super Selector.
Can I just say, I'd be happy to pick any of them because they had fantastic tournaments, all had great results. But for me, Shikhar Dhawan has to be there because he was the leading run scorer. And for me, Waqar Zaman just ahead of Rohit Sharma because Waqar Zaman, 4 innings and in all 4 games, he scored 250s, 100. And the one game that I guess you call a slight failure, he scored 36.
Yes.
So he gets in for me because he was part of the reason for the Pakistan turnaround and he was Mr. Consistent. And in every game that he played, he got Pakistan off to a great start. So for me, it has to be Shikhar Dhawan and Waqar Zaman as the openers.
Okay, Shikhar Dhawan and Waqar Zaman are the openers of the Chris Harris 11. Let's move on to the middle order then. And this is where Chris Harris perhaps is going to be a bit unpopular. We have 4 of the world's best batsmen at the moment, and Chris Harris has to pick just 2. Let's look at the contenders. Virat Kohli, Joe Root, Kane Williamson, Eoin Morgan, all 4 of them international captains. So perhaps 2 of them, if not 3, are going to be, one of them is going to be the captain.
Again, very, very tough choice. And as I said earlier with the openers, pretty happy to pick any one of these guys or any 2 of these guys. Virat Kohli at the top with the most runs, 258. We know how much of a class player he is, and even more importantly, how brilliant he is in the chase. So he's going to be a very hard man to leave out. Joe Root, 258 runs, same as Kohli, and 1 less innings. Fantastic. There are Kohli's numbers. Look, strike an average of 129.
And just 2 failures,
fantastic.
just 2 failures. But in that game when India needed him to chase, that didn't work out for him. That could go against him in a sense.
Yeah, it could. But the thing that I love about these numbers, in the 3 games that he was chasing, he was not out. So it was fantastic. Strike rate, almost 100, 350s, very consistent.
Okay, let's get the next one on our screens. And this one is Joe Root. And one of the best batsmen in the world, got 100 as well in this tournament.
Yeah, fantastic numbers again. Mr. Consistent for England, 100, 150, very impressive strike rate of 97 and an even more impressive average of 86. So another one that's going to be perhaps very hard to leave out.
Okay, the next one is someone who's pretty well known to you. This is the New Zealand captain. This is Kane Williamson. Just 3 matches, but New Zealand's problem was they were entirely dependent on Kane Williamson.
Yes, and what's even more impressive about these numbers, he scored slightly less than the others, but he only played the 3 matches, scored 244 with a strike rate of average of 81, strike rate of 92, and didn't fail. He scored 100 and 250s. So some would say Mr. Consistency, he will be very difficult to leave out.
Okay, the final contender on our screens is the England one-day captain. Not too many runs, but you have to also take into account that England at times didn't need him. But the game they needed him, he got those important runs.
Yeah, got a very good score against Australia. The numbers are slightly less than the others, 208 in 4 games. Scored 250, so had a couple of failures by his standard. Still a very healthy average of 69, strike rate of 100. He was the next best, but with those numbers is probably going to miss out on these sides.
Okay, so time for you to pick 2 batsmen, numbers 3 and 4, and perhaps the captain as well.
Okay, well for me, number 3, and purely because of the way he played in this tournament, he got his team to the final, so it's Virat Kohli at 3, and he will be the captain as well. As I said, the way he finishes off games, so for me, he has to be number 3.
Number 4?
And number 4 will be a surprise for some, and it's not just because I'm from New Zealand, but the numbers speak volumes.
Now we get it.
Has to be Kane Williamson. 3 games, 244 runs, didn't fail, scored 100 and 250s against good opposition. So Kane Williamson for me makes it number 4.
Okay, Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson, the middle order of this team. We now need a wicket keeper, and it has to be someone we thought who can bat as well. Probably bat at either 5 or 6. And here are the contenders. Chris Harris, So there's Sarfaraz Ahmed, the Pakistan captain, India's Mahendra Singh Dhoni, who over the years has been in every ICC team just because he was captain, India was doing so well. We have Mushfiqur Rahim, the Bangladesh keeper, and we have England's Jos Buttler as well.
Again, very tough. You're happy to pick any of these players because they're all dynamic in their own right, not just behind the stumps, but also with the bat, as the numbers show.
But very crucially, this is Mushfiqur's numbers, but this batsman has to bat at 5 or 6. That's going to weigh in as well, because we also had Quinton de Kock, but because he opens the innings, we have to ignore him.
Yeah, exactly. So what's going to be more important here is probably runs in this tournament, because they're all fine keepers in their own right. So Mushfiqur Rahim, obviously 4 matches, 163 runs, average of 40 with a strike rate of close to 80.
But just one dismissal.
Yeah, just one dismissal, because Bangladesh didn't get a lot of wickets. And that one dismissal, I think, was a stumping. We know he's a good keeper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that could
So he could be in the mix. He could be in the mix. Let's look at the next one. And this one is the Pakistan captain. You've already chosen your captain in that sense in Virat Kohli. Sarfaraz Ahmed actually led Pakistan very well. Got runs in that one game when they needed him to. But 9 dismissals, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, scored very well in
Sri Lanka
in one game and failed in another. Also had 9 dismissals. That was part of the reason for some of the Pakistan bowling. It was outstanding. A lot of those 9 dismissals, or most of them, in fact, were caught behinds, genuine caught behinds. There was a couple of good catches, but they were pretty basic opportunities. But 9 dismissals, I think he was the leading wicket taker, so he will go very close as well.
Okay, let's quickly look at the next 2. And the first one is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Didn't get too many runs because India didn't get to bat very often deep. The one game he got 60, and the final he didn't get too many. And we also want to look at the next wicketkeeper, who is one of the contenders, and this is the England wicketkeeper. This is Jos Buttler. Again, you know, 94 runs, not his fault, because England were just scoring runs. Everyone seemed to be queuing up to score runs, except that game against Pakistan.
I mean, I think for MS Dhoni and Jos Buttler, we know how capable they are with the bat, and they both had one good innings. I sort of said pre-match I thought Dhoni would do something special in the final. Unfortunately, for India's sake, he didn't. So both of these guys had reasonable numbers, but not sure if it's going to be good enough to get inside.
Well, I don't make the choice. You have to make that choice. So one of these 4, you've got to pick as the wicketkeeper of this team to bat at either 5 or 6. Who's your pick?
So it's a little bit contentious, but I went with Rahim, purely because 4 matches he was the leading run scorer. Only the 1 dismissal, but I know he's a tidy keeper. Didn't make many mistakes, and I want him to bat at 5. So Mushfiqur Rahim gets in.
So purely on the basis of his batting?
Yeah, purely.
Purely on the basis of the batting, says Chris Harris, it's going to be very contentious. Mushfiqur Rahim ahead of the Pakistan captain and MS Dhoni. Now let's move on to the all-rounders. This is rather Spartan. We went through the list and we managed to just throw up 2 names for Chris Harris. And ideally would have wanted to have some Kiwis here, because they always seem to make the all-rounders list. But we went through the lists of the batsmen and the bowlers. He only found 2. And one of them is Ben Stokes, got a big 100. And the other one is India's Hardik Pandya. So you got to pick either one of them, or you can even pick 2.
Yeah, it was a real surprise for me, because normally in these ICC Champions Trophies or ICC events, all-rounders really quite often stand up and are the difference for the side. So it was really disappointing that there was no all-rounder for me that really stood out with ball or with bat. At times they had effect. Obviously Pandya, magnificent 76 in the final. And obviously Ben Stokes, that 100 against Australia. Look, I couldn't pick between them, and for the balance of this side, I was quite happy to pick them both. So I ended up picking Ben Stokes to bat at 6 and Pandya to bat at 7, because they're both handy with the ball, they're both match winners with the bat, and also, more importantly, they're both great fielders. So I'm happy to pick both of these guys batting 6 and 7 in my ICC Champions Trophy.
And in that team, very quickly, Chris, it gives great, you can send anyone up the order. If you need a quick fire of 40, 50, you can send Stokes up, you can send Pandya up, you can drop Mushfiqur down as well.
It does. It gives you flexibility in the order, because they're both very good strikers of the ball. What also that I like, what having these 2 players does, gives you that extra bowler as well. So you've got options. So if it's not someone's day, you can go to another bowler. So it's just nice to have that extra bowler in the mix as well.
Especially in English conditions. Let me tell you, English conditions is where Chris Harris's team hypothetically will play their matches in. So talking about conditions in England, they didn't suit the spinners much, but we have had a few who stood out. Chris, for variety, we looked at everything. The off spinners didn't do well, neither did the left arm spinners. So we'll take a look at the ones we've got up for you. And these are the 3 spinners, all 3 leg spinners. You have Adil Rashid of England, Imran Tahir of South Africa, and Shadab Khan. Now, Shadab Khan didn't get too many wickets, but he got crucial breakthroughs. Excellent fielder for them.
Yeah, he was. Look, all of these three guys, which is really surprising, is they're all leg spinners. So the leg spinners were the only one in this tournament that had a real effect.
And why is that so?
I just think because the wickets generally in England this particular time were very good for batting. There wasn't much seam movement and there wasn't much spin. And for me, the reason the leg spinners went well, generally good leg spinners will turn the ball enough on any surface because they give the ball a bit more of a rip. And the other little thing that I think people don't take into consideration is that there aren't a lot of leg spinners out there. Every team gets practice against off spinners because, as we know, there's a lot of batters at the top of the order that can bowl off spin. So as batters, we get a lot of practice against off spin or left arm orthodox, and we're used to facing it. But not everyone has the ability to face a lot of quality leg spin. So hence the reason I think leg spinners generally, or good leg spinners, tend to go very well.
That's the legacy of Shane Warne in a sense. Very quickly, one of them.
So for me, it has to be the leading contender, which is Abdul Rashid. 3 games, 7 wickets, bowled very, very well. So he comes in as my spinner, batting at 8.
Okay, Adil Rashid is the spinner. So the final selection coming up then. These are English conditions that we've been seeing, and the team will have to play in England. So it has to have excellent new ball bowlers. Here is our shortlist for Chris Harris to select from. And some of the top bowlers of this tournament. Hassan Ali is in there. You've got Bhuvneshwar Kumar in there. You've got Josh Hazlewood, who took 6 wickets in 1 game. That's the best spell in this tournament. You have Junaid Khan, very good for Pakistan. And you also have Liam Plunkett from England and Mone Mokal from Pakistan. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. How do you sift through this and pick 3 of them?
I can only pick 3, can't I? Which seems disappointing. Once again, like all the lists, it's very contentious. I'd be happy to pick any 3 of these bowlers. I mean, you can almost go any, many, just pick one. But
Hassan Ali, bowler of the tournament, player of the tournament.
Well, let's get this right out in the open. Hassan Ali, for me, the bowler of the tournament, so you can't leave him out. 5 matches, 13 wickets, and an average of 14.69. And even more importantly than that, an RPO of only 4.29.
And also crucial wickets. He got wickets when Pakistan needed them the most.
And what he did is, when the guys didn't get the wickets at the top, he got them at the middle. He was the most consistent bowler, and he always troubled all the batsmen, bowls brilliantly to left-handers. And as you said, I think on 3 or 4 occasions, he got 3 wickets in an innings. He was always dangerous. Every time he came on, you thought something was going to happen. So it's just easy to say, right, he's definitely one of them.
Okay, the next one, Josh Hazlewood, 6 for 52 in 1 game is what Hazlewood did. And this is Junaid Khan. Let's talk about Junaid Khan first. 4 matches, 8 wickets. They didn't pick him in the first game against India, played Wahab Riaz, who got hammered. He makes a good case because he's also got crucial breakthroughs for Pakistan.
Yeah, Mr. Consistent. So 4 matches, 8 wickets. Doing the mass average, sort of 2 wickets a game. Very healthy average of 19.371. Again, a very good economy rate. And I thought he was probably one of the most consistent bowlers behind Hassan Ali in the Pakistan side. So he'll be another one that will be difficult to leave out. Also, he's got the advantage of being a left armer.
Yes.
So it offers a little bit of variety. So he may go close as well.
Okay, we're going to see Bhuvneshwar Kumar up next. And Bhuvneshwar Kumar impressed with the ball. Look at his economy rate, 4.63. He was India's best bowler in these conditions. Came off a very good IPL and just carried straight through. He was very miserly at the top, which is, again, difficult to see in these tournaments. You know, you have opening batsmen going hard. Even Fakhar Zaman and Azhar Ali in the final couldn't get him off.
Kumar, for me, was the most consistent Indian bowler. Probably would have liked to have picked up a couple more wickets, but as you said, he was Mr. Consistent. He bowls at both ends where it's very difficult. In the first 10 overs where batsmen are coming after you, he was very, very miserly with a great economy rate of 4.63. And I thought also, even though Boomer is known for being very good at the death, I thought Kumar was excellent at the death. Okay,
this one is coming up. This is Josh Hazlewood, as I was saying. 3 matches, 9 wickets, 6 for 52, his best. And we'll also see the next one, the other one which is remaining. And that one is Liam Plunkett from England, 8 wickets in 4 games.
Yeah, Hazlewood and Plunkett, obviously a lot of wickets. I think Hazlewood had 9 wickets in 3 games, but 6 of those were against New Zealand. And a lot of those wickets were towards the end of the innings where New Zealand were trying to launch. So you've got to take that in consideration. And Plunkett as well, very consistent. The only issues with those 2 bowlers...
And this is Mone Mokal. We forgot Mone Mokal.
Yeah, only the 5 wickets, but amazing economy rate, 4.35 with a great average of 17 and a best of 3 for 18. So he got most of his wickets in 1 game. The thing with going back to Plunkett and also the other one, which was Hazlewood, for me they were just a little bit expensive. Plunkett had an RPO of 5.85 and I think Hazlewood was 5.07, so a little bit on the high side.
Okay, so this is it. This is the final selection. No Mohammad Amir there because, as you said, we're not going to go by reputation and one spell. He has to be consistent through the tournament. So you've got to pick 3 of them. And remember, you've got Pandya and Stokes already who can bowl fast.
You made a good point, though. For me, the way he bowled in the final, if he'd bowled like that throughout the tournament, I'm sure he would have been there. But for me, the easy decision straight off the bat, Hasim Ali has to be there, leading wicket taker. Then for me, Janad Khan, absolute key. He's a left armour. He got 8 wickets in 4 games. He was another reason that Pakistan was so successful in this tournament. He was Mr. Consistent throughout. And number 3 for me, Kumar. For Wellington, for India, he was the most consistent bowler. He was brilliant at the top of the order. If he didn't get wickets at the top, no one could get him away. Like in the final, 5 overs for 10 runs. So Kumar makes it in. So there's your 3 seamers.
Okay, you can't take the Kiwi out of Chris Harris. So he's picked 11. This is it then. Let's look at Chris Harris's team of the tournament. We're going to see it on our screens. Let's quickly run through them, if I remember very correctly. Yes, so you've got Shikhar Dhawan, Fakhar Zaman to open, Virat Kohli as captain, Kane Williamson at 4. Mushfiqur Rahim is the wicketkeeper, contentious one that we discussed why. Ben Stokes is the all-rounder along with Hardik Pandya. The lone spinner in this team is Adil Rashid, the leg spinner. And then you've got the 3 quicks, and then you've also gone with Rohit Sharma as 12th man.
Rohan Sharma for me was 12th man because he was probably the most unlucky because he just missed out. The other thing that I think is very interesting about this team, there is no South African and no Australian.
Okay.
Which is a really big surprise in an ICC tournament. Normally 2 teams that feature reasonably well.
Okay, so that's Chris Harris's team of the ICC Champions Trophy. That's also the last piece of business done here on League of Champions. Chris Harris, sadly that brings to an end our excellent journey. It's been lovely to have you over in India. Hope you had an enjoyable stay. But before I let you go, we have a surprise for Chris Harris. We've had some great interactions over the last 2 weeks, but one moment stood out for the sports team and the viewers of WION. This one, take a look. Chris Harris, this is a surprise. There you are.
Oh no. Ringy, ringy, pakiha. Kamati, kamati, kara, kara. Kamati, kamati, kara, kara. Tinena, tangana, hurry, hurry.
Chris Harris, your haka. That was something to set up the final. I mean, that for us was the most enjoyable thing. I'm not sure you enjoyed it as much. Were you as good as the New Zealand rugby team?
No, I'd never be as good as the All Blacks. But no, it's been an absolute pleasure being here. Hopefully I'll come back soon. This tournament was obviously amazing. Big surprise in the final. But it's always a pleasure to be here in India. Love coming over. So looking forward to coming back soon.
Yes, we will hopefully have Chris Harris back with us soon enough. That's it then on League of Champions. One final time from Chris Harris and me. Goodbye. This was the show in which Chris Harris picked his best team of this tournament. Thank you. Thanks for watching.